Next month marks 30 years, if you can believe it, since Nicole Brown Simpson was found murdered outside her Brentwood, California home. 35 years old at the time. Her ex-husband, former football player O.J. Simpson, was, of course, charged with murdering her and her friend, Ron Goldman. In a highly publicized trial, Simpson was acquitted of all charges, but later found liable for their deaths in a civil trial. Nobody else has been tried in connection with the murders. Simpson maintained his innocence until his death last month. Now, Nicole's three sisters and many of her loved ones are speaking out in a new 4-part documentary series. It's called The Life and Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson. Here's a clip featuring Nicole's sister, Denise, talking about a time Nicole told her she was assaulted by O.J.
She called me up and she says, Denise, she goes, I need you to come up here. I need you to take pictures of me. And she said, we had a fight. And I said, and when I saw her, I said, oh my God. I said, what happened? I said, why are you with him? What are you doing? And so I ended up taking the pictures of her face.
That's really tough to look at. Those photos were later used in court during the murder trial. And we're now joined by Nicole's sisters, Tanya, Dominique, and Denise. Ladies, thank you very much for being here.
Good morning.
Denise, I want to start with you. And one of the interesting things about this documentary, and there's so much that's fascinating about it, is when it comes to the name of that former football star who was married to your sister, you do not speak it at all.
No, I don't. No, I haven't since the day that I said he did it.
Why was it important to you, because you've been involved in getting this project into the world for the longest, to make this happen and now? I
actually started conversations 10 years ago for the 20th anniversary, and then it just didn't feel right. And so we tried the 25th anniversary, and it didn't feel right then either. And then I asked my sisters, I said, do you guys want to do something? Let's humanize Nicole. Let's let Nicole's voice be heard. Let's tell her story, and let's tell it to the world. Let people get to know who Nicole really was, because every time it always went a different direction. Whenever they said, oh, this is going to be about your sister Nicole, and they always took it in a different direction.
Yeah.
So we finally found a home. And that was with Lifetime, which was wonderful because everybody was on the same page with us. Mm-hmm. And they want to humanize Nicole. They want to get her story out there. And yeah, there's tough things in this documentary. And there's things that we learned about in this documentary that kind of took us like, whoa, you know, we were shocked about it too. So, you know, I mean, it was a learning experience for us. It's going to be a huge learning experience for the world, getting to know Nicole.
And speaking of reintroducing the world to Nicole, or Nicole to the world, Dominique, you didn't speak right away after she was killed, but you say you want people to know her true nature. What do you want people to know about Nicole?
Nicole was born and lived a very free, carefree life. She was a beach girl, then she had children, and she loved her children. And I think that that she got to feel that the last 2 years of her life. I think that freedom reemerged. And I just, seeing her in that period of time, running, being with her children, going to recitals, doing things, you know, with the kids and with family and all that, I think that that ease came back to her. And I love that. I mean, we'd like to remember Nicole smiling.
Yeah. Tanya, you learned so much, but there were some things you said you didn't know about your sister. What were those?
Pretty much all of it. I learned about Nicole's abuse when I was sitting in court one day. I'm the baby, you got to understand, right? So I was very sheltered and protected, probably, but I was sitting in court, and that's how I learned about it. So watching and listening to this documentary, I walked away very angry because I had no idea what a horrible person he was to her.
The lead up.
Yeah.
The lead up.
The lead up to it.
And you talk about the times changing. I guess, have the times changed enough for people to accept, you know, the true message, I think, that is in this documentary, and is that stop blaming the victim?
Oh, I think there's so much more work that we need to do. You know, the 24-hour domestic violence hotline, they've answered 7 million calls, but yet a lot of those were unanswered.
Right.
So many calls, so many more were unanswered. And so, you know, I mean, they just don't have the resources. They need the manpower. I think if you have a shelter in your community, volunteer, help out, get involved, because victims of domestic violence, there's a lot of shame involved in domestic violence. It's very difficult for them to come forward and to say that they are, you know, being beat, or they are being verbally abused or physically abused. And so when they do come forward, believe them. Like, I asked Nicole all the wrong questions.
Really?
I said, why? Why are you with him? Why? And those are the questions you don't want to ask a victim of domestic violence.
Wow.
You want
What
to be,
should you ask?
you want to be supportive. You want to listen to them. You don't want to go, God, you need to get out of that relationship.
Right.
You know, because the statistics show that 7 to 10 times they go back into the violent relationship. So be there, be supportive, learn everything you can about domestic violence, the cycle of domestic violence, that there is that honeymoon phase. Oftentimes they get it, oftentimes they don't get it, the victims.
There's so much sadness. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's horrible. There's so much sadness when it comes to domestic violence. And I just want people to believe when somebody comes forward, because it's really hard for them to come forward.
Where I was going to go with that on the subject of sadness is there's children involved here, and I gasped because I had forgotten. That Nicole's children and how young they were, and then the trial, and then of course they live with their father after the trial. And Dominique, as I understand it, you have a relationship still with those children.
I do.
You're maintaining their privacy, but can you tell us anything about how they're doing, at least emotionally?
Well, it's understandable. They're saddened about their father, but emotionally they're doing good. I mean, they both have families. They both have children and significant others.
That's good.
And they are living normal lives. And I think that that's really what I had hoped for them, and I think that's what we had all hoped for them.
Well, Denise,
I just hope the media leaves them alone now after this documentary.
Right.
And just lets them live their life and keep their
Privacy.
Just
Denise,
keep it.
I'm sorry, Dominique, and Tanya, I want to drive people to this documentary. It's fantastic. The Life and Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, Saturday and Sunday on Lifetime.